Sorry, having some issues here. Forgive me. Yeah. Uh-oh. Sorry. Okay, so can anyone hear me? Sorry, can everyone hear me? Hello?
Hear you. We can hear
Am I
you.
still on? Sorry, I was having network issues for a while. Sorry about that. I think it's back now. Okay, so, that's true. I was sharing my screen the other time. Let me share it. Okay, so what we're looking at today is extreme programming. Now, extreme programming is one of the methodologies under the agile SDLC model. The thing about this is, with software engineering existing, in such, this kind of environment we're in, where tech ideas are easily volatile. You could easily get it, like a tech idea from anyone. It is required that there is a commensurate amount of management as regards projects. There is a commensurate amount of planning to actualize such ideas. So that also means that IT professionals should, have to find new ways to handle frequently changing development tasks. So so the thing about XP is that it's one of the numerous agile frameworks applied by IT um companies. But one of its key features is this emphasis on the technical aspects of software development. I know that's what separates it from other approaches. You get now. Sorry, I hope everyone can hear me. Sorry about that. All right. A software engineer, Ken Beck, introduced XP in the 90s, and he introduced it with the goal of finding ways to write high qualitative software quickly and being able to adapt to customers, you know, changing requirements, basically. All right. So, and one of the things he also did was that he redefined XP. Sorry, he refined XP approaches. You know, as there is actually a book called Embrace Change, Action Programming Explained. You know, Embrace Change, and he was the one that wrote it, Ken Beck, and he was able to describe what the extreme programming is about. So XP, are what you call set of engineering practices, and developers have gone beyond their capabilities while performing these practices. That's why it's called extreme, basically, just as the name implies, where developers go beyond their own comfort zone to ensure that a lot of work is done. You get so that's just what you call like a background knowledge of what you'll be expecting. You know, now what we'll be looking at is firstly we'll be looking at what extreme programming is about, what the basic objectives of XP is, the values that are required in XP, because what makes a very successful enterprise and not just the technicalities involved and also values. Values are what will keep the the public enterprise or the company going. So we look at values of the XP. We also look at the principles of XP. Then XP practices. What makes XP, what makes it extreme programming, and then we'll be concluding from then. Along the line, we might also be looking at the advantages and disadvantages of XP. All right. So extreme programming what you call is a what you call a simplified methodology for organizing a program development for small and medium-sized team of developers engaged in creating a software product in the face of unclear or rapidly changing requirement. Now, for example, you have a very good customer that wants to build his or software project. Then it comes to you with so and so requirements, so and so requirements, and then let's say as the you know maybe as the customer is just leaving your office, this is something that that excites him again, and he then comes to you, please, I want to add something to my requirement. That would like be a bug. Like, I don't know what you mean. Like, it would be like the person is being a pest, it's just disturbing your life. But really, there are models that can help you adapt to rapidly changing requirements from the user. um Very good example is the extreme programming. If now take for example you're using the waterfall model. Now, what makes the waterfall model not able to adapt to rapidly changing requirements is basically the fact that when um like it's basically the fact that each phase of the waterfall model needs to be completed before you go into the next phase. So a customer cannot come when you're already in the design phase to come and talking about requirements. It's not allowed when you're using the waterfall model. So it's still about you being able to adopt the right the right strategy for your project, the right strategy for for the projects that you want to do, not to meet the customer's requirements, basically. All right. Now the main objectives in the XP are firstly to increase the customer confidence in software by providing real success evidence for of the development process, and then also drastically shortening the development time of the project. Because right here it's kind of extreme, because um you are not really working based at your like, I mean, you are not working from your comfort zone. You want to gain customers confidence, and then you also want to release something in a very short span of time. you know so now because of that, you're going to be minimizing errors right from the scratch. So whatever it is that is going to like let's say you want to go, like you want to add a very important feature, and then now for every feature you want to add, there are simple parts and there are very difficult parts. So you don't really go into the parts that you feel will bring bugs. Just stay around, like the simplicity parts. So you start minimizing errors very early in development. So this is basically what the main objective is. You just want to bring satisfaction to the customer, and then you want to do it with the shortest possible time best. You get right. So these are the practices which we'll be looking at, you know, in the course of the. So now here you talk of the principles. Um, Give me a minute. Oh, sorry, one is meant to move. All right. So here now, when you talk of principles or the rules that are involved in extreme programming, now these are like basic rules that once you miss out on these rules, your extreme programming is really no extreme programming anymore. It's whatever programming it is. So firstly, we have communication, where everyone on the team works jointly at every stage on the project, from the requirement stage to design stage to testing. Everyone is on their toes. Everyone, like everyone is just about the project. They just want to ensure that the project is well done. So communication is a very important factor in extreme programming. Also, it's about simplicity, because it's gonna be more or less like a joint, like a joint program, because everyone will be working jointly. Developers must strive to actually write a simple code in order to bring more value to the product. Because once it's simple, it is for you to build on it. This is for you to build on it. So we don't start with the complex here. We start with simplicity. And also, we also look at feedback. Now, for your team members to deliver software frequently, we need feedback. Feedback is very important, so that improve so that upgrades to the product be done according to new requirements appropriately. And also, respect is also a very good principle of extreme programming, where every person is assigned to a project, and we are all contributing towards a common goal. That's what it's about. Everyone is respecting the goal. Everyone, there's also like a mutual respect between each of the team members to ensure that they all reach the common goal. Then there's also the issue of courage. You know, here here it's quite now here one must be very mature to be able to own up to his mistakes. Let's say you goofed somewhere, you are able to say, oh, okay, here I think I missed it, and then you're able to ask a team member for help. Hence the need for stand-ups, scrum meetings, to ensure that all these excesses, or let's say errors, will be checked basically. So these are what you call the principles of you know the extreme, sorry, what you call the rules or principles of the extreme program. All right, now we come to the principles of extreme programming. All right, what I said in the previous slide are actually the rules of extreme programming. So but here we actually come to the main principles of extreme programming. Now one thing is rapid feedback. Now team members understand that like they understand the giving feedback. Like when the feedback comes from the customer, they understand that, and then they're able to give the right response. It's one thing to get a feedback, and it's another thing to be able to give the appropriate response to that feedback. So it's about giving the feedback, understanding what feedback is about, and being able to react to it in the best possible way. And also you also talk of assumed simplicity. Here, here the developers need to focus on job that is important at the moment. You get, now that's what they're about. They don't find there are other phases in project, but there is a phase of the project that is rightly important at the at that project moment. So that's what they're about. They focus on the job that is important at the moment. There's something called the Yagni and the DRY. Now, actually, the acronym means you ain't gonna need it, and DRI means don't repeat yourself. Basically, like that's what it's like it's being used just like used here. You ain't gonna need it. If you're not gonna need it, then you don't need to dabble into it. Then also, if you've done it before, there's no need to repeat yourself. So These are, more or less like the assumed simplicity principle that action program follows. Then also incremental changes. Um, I think in a previous case slide I did, or like in a previous case presentation I did, when I talked about the agile model, I also said that it's also incremental. Yeah. Action programming also has the incremental part of it, in which there is always a build up, small changes are meant to product step by step, to make it better and better, other than just building a big thing and then when you want to add something to it, you have to put it down and start again from scratch. So it's all about making incremental changes, making landmark changes. Then one of the core principles of action programming is that you must be able to embrace change from the customer. Whatever it is that the customer is seeing, you must be able to embrace change. And then you must give very quality work to whatever it is you're doing. As like a team that works well makes a valuable product. I know, and then you'll be proud about it. All right. Now, quickly, so these are what you just see as the um what you call the action programming life cycle. We have the release planning, iteration planning and design, iteration plan, and the iteration, you code, continuous integration, unit testing, acceptance testing, listening to feedback, small release, final release. So these are basically the things about the action programming. Now we want to look into the you know all right, sorry, give me that. So now we're going to go into the extreme programming practices. Now, when you say extreme programming, what is it about? What are you saying when you say extreme programming? What are the details under it? All right. So one of the things here is the planning game. Now in this in this part of it here, it usually occurs at the beginning of the iteration cycle. Here the development team is going to meet with the customer, and then you're going to discuss details as to what the project is about. The product's features, product's core features, the things that you want, in that particular product. At the end of the planning game, there is already a predefined plan. There's already, a plan going into the project for the upcoming, phase that you want to work on, or what is to be released at this particular landmark of this project. So here after the plan has been drawn out, tasks are just been assigned immediately. So one very core trick, or one very core practice in action programming is the planning game. If now it's clear that from the name, it's you have to plan. Once there's no good plan, then you're already planning to fail basically. So planning game is a very important part of this. Then we also have peer programming. All right. Oh, okay. Now you could have like two programmers sitting on the computer for up to 3 days trying to ensure that the product comes out well. Anyway, it's extreme, so like you're expecting extreme stuff. So this practice requires two programmers to work jointly on the same code. It's possible that the first developer focuses on writing, then the other one will now plan on, okay, let me just check what this guy has been writing, and then also suggest like improvement. Okay, um don't use a for loop here, use a while loop here. Instead of using this particular um um sorry, like instead of using this particular function, why don't we modify this function to be like this? Fixes the mistake along the way. Now once there's somebody writing the code, then there's someone debugging straight away. There, when you don't, like, it will be like there are actually no mistakes at all. But such teamwork is going to result in high quality software and faster knowledge sharing. But at times it take about more like 15% more time. So in this regard, it's more reasonable try and pair programming for long term projects. So pair programming is very core part of extreme programming. So you could have like a team of programmers just sitting on one computer, as in they're just there on the same code. Okay, and then all they are doing is to ensure that the codes in that particular project are working well. All right, then we also have continuous integration. Here they make use of Git if possible. I don't know if Git is the only thing they mix it for. Like Git, where they're, like whereby after they work on the project, they just keep committing, they keep committing it. Like, I'm sure, like when developers will understand what I'm saying right now, whereby you write a code, you now commit it, just keep committing it, committing it, committing it. Now, it's what you call like continuous delivery, because it's more or less like continuous integration. If you've worked on a particular project, and then um you don't, you commit again and again, like you keep doing it, and if there are errors, you have to revert back, but then like go over the whole process again, do it, commit the code to ensure that the work is well done. Here XP practitioners understand the importance of communication, so programmers discuss which part of the code can be reused or shared. So this way they know exactly what functionality they need to develop. Policy of shared code eliminates integration problems. So in addition, automated testing allows developers to detect and fix errors before deployment. So it's a question of we're all working together to achieve that common goal, to achieve that same goal. So here we're all on our toes. So basically, then we also have the collective code ownership. Really, you might have this, really you might have sat down to bring up a very good algorithm, and then like might have sat down to bring a very good algorithm, maybe used a linear shift algorithm to solve a problem, but really there's no code that is for you. Like the code is actually not for you. It's more or less like a collective code ownership. All right. Okay. So like it's more or less like like a collective code ownership. It's the whole team responsibility for design of system. So each team member can review and update the code. Developers don't have access to code. No, sorry. Developers that have the access to code won't get into a situation where they won't know the right place to add a new feature. Why? Now, the reason for collective code ownership is because if there's going to be an improvement in the future, uh, in future, like another team member will want to add, it might not necessarily be that that have the idea to update code. So that's why it's good for everyone to own the code. Everyone understands you know the code base, so it is very easy to implement a new feature. And then this practice will also help to avoid code duplication. Like somebody writes the same code but writes in a different way. I mean, that's like a waste of space. Get my point? So the implementation of the collective code ownership encourages the team to cooperate more. It joins them more all together, and then they're all free to bring new ideas. All right. So I just highlighted some of the practices in Exchange programming. You could just Google to check more of the practices. There are others like on-site customer code refactoring, etc. Uh, Maybe small releases, simple design. There are all kinds of practices on the Exchange program. It's actually very broad. So it depends on the one that you feel will work well for your software project. Then we also have, yeah. Then the next thing we're talking about is the advantage of, of the extra programming. Firstly, one thing you have is the continuous testing and refactoring practices that help create a stable performing system with minimal debugging, basically. And when you implement peer programming, the debugging, now you might have little or no debugging at the end of the project, because everyone is working together. As someone is coding, the other person is debugging. Or the other person is checking the code, checking for continuous improvement, checking what could be added to the code, etc. You know, so and then there's also a need, like there's a place of continuous testing and practice, to help ensure that the products your product performance system is very stable. Then also, the simplicity value helps in creating a clear, concise code that is easy to read and change in the future if needed. Now, the simplicity value is one of the game changers for the action programming. It makes it it makes your code just clear, concise, easy for the developers to just come around, chill, and read it. Then the minimalistic, the active, sorry, the minimalist iterative approach to development ensures that the workable results can be delivered very soon, and no necessary features are built. Then also, sorry, am I? Oh,
Okay.
yes. I need to
Sorry,
round up,
you
right?
don't have 3 minutes more.
So what do you say?
Yes.
I didn't hear you.
I need to round up.
Yeah, sure. I'm already in my end game. Okay, so because of documentation, which is reduced by bulk requirement of the user, substituted by user story. So there's really no need for documentation here, but documentation is really tied to whatever it is that the user is saying he wants in his project. So like that's what's like like these are one of the advantages of extreme programming. Okay, so then now some disadvantages basically, you know, you talk of regular meetings with customer because here you have to always meet your customer. So now you keep having regular meetings with customer, but all those time that you're using to meet your customer, it will take like a great deal of time, and you could also spend it on writing the code. Also, documentation could be scarce. They could also lack clear requirements because of how the user just wants to bring forth whatever it is that he wants to bring up. And then there's also a rapid transition from traditional methods of software development to extreme programming, which demands significant cultural and structural changes. Right. So now, because of the other traditional methods, development, that's I'm talking of the waterfall model and others. Now, if like for example, a company wants to transit from the traditional methods to extreme. Now, it could take a lot. Like if a company has been making use of other models of development, they want to suddenly changes to this, you have to do a lot of structural and structural changes to project. All right. So this is just a like a side joke just for you to laugh about. For example, your team lead comes. Okay, for this project we're gonna do something called extreme programming. All right. So the first thing is that we're gonna pick a partner, and some of you work at one computer for 40 hours a week. Oh my god. So now you understand the the sorry the you know the drama here, why all of them are picking this guy and they left the other guy. The new system is a minute old and I already ate everyone. All right, so you see that that's why everybody went to this other guy, right? Anyway, that's something to just laugh about. Okay, so okay, because of our time, so extreme programming is a software development methodology that is intended to improve software quality, responsiveness to changing customer requirements. So this type of agile software development advocates frequent releases, short development cycles, is intended to improve productivity and introduce checkpoints at which new customer requirements can be adopted. So understanding for extreme programming is you just want to please the customer and you want to work. Yeah, then you want to give a very good software quality. Then you want to work on it over time. you know let's say you want to make it a landmark. So at this particular phase of the project, this is what comes out. At that particular phase of the project, this is what comes out. So this is what we call like frequent releases and short development cycles, which are intended to improve productivity, introduce checkpoint at which new customer requirements can be adopted. All right, I think that's all. Okay, does anyone have any questions? I think I'm done. Don't have any questions. All right, so don't have any questions. Hello, am I still on? There are no questions? Let me ask mine. Hello.
You
All
can go
right,
ahead
there are no
and
questions. Okay, so please can someone tell us what peer programming is about? Peer programming is about.
please please should be
I have
specific
to
on
call.
names.
Okay, okay. Name me call names. Okay, okay. That should be actually be easy. Ife, could you tell us what peer programming is about? Ife, are you there? Ife, oh, probably his network is having issues. Let's see. God's time. Could you tell us what peer programming is about? God's time. Sorry, am I still on? Probably the network's having issues.
Yeah,
Let me
yeah,
call.
yeah, yeah.
All right, thanks. Machimonde, can you hear me, sir? Matthew? Machimonde? Oh, it's probably not here. All right.
Hello.
Oh, you here? Good, awesome. So please tell us
Uh,
what peer programming is about. Could you tell us what peer programming is about?
okay. Pair programming is a technique of writing code where two people will be on a system or on a remote location, trying to write code together so that someone will be the driver, the other person will be the navigator.
Oh,
So the driver, in the
yes.
sense that is going to be the one writing the code, the other person will be debugging as he's writing the code. Who is the navigator?
All right, all right. Thank you, sir. Very grateful. Thank you, Mr. Dinka. All right. Next question is could someone tell us the values, of extreme programming? Values that are involved in extreme programming. The values of extreme programming. That once you throw away these values, you are not doing extreme programming anymore. You're doing something else.
You can call name, please.
Anyone? All right. Okay. Let's say. Sorry. Who is PS Con? PS Con. PS Con. Name is funny though. Oh, who is PS Con? Can you identify yourself? Who's not the meeting again? Sorry. Samo Alenomo. Sorry, I didn't pronounce your name well. Samuel. Samo. Samo, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear. I can hear
Yeah,
you.
yeah, 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 yeah. Okay. All right. So I was asking, what are the core values in extreme programming? Yeah, yeah, like the core values.
Good morning. I think the core values
Yeah.
of active programming are that is simplicity, and that is making sure that the whole team, a lot of the work that is being done is done in a way that it is simple and easier to achieve, to meet changing demands on the
All
like
right.
rapid change of demand on the period.
All right. Okay. So, you just mentioned one
Yes,
simplicity. All right.
simplicity.
Okay. Like that's all you know.
That's what I was
Communication is
able to
also a
pick.
part of it.
Mhm.
All right. Okay. If it, it's like you can hear me now. If it, so please could you add to the
Yeah,
values of extreme programming?
I had to restart again.
Sorry, I said, could you add to the values of extreme programming? Someone has given us simplicity. So, which other value of extreme programming do you help us out?
I was not. I didn't catch that line we were teaching, so I was not.
Okay, okay, it's fine. It's actually fine. Taiwo, please could you add to one of the values of extreme programming? Taiwo, are you there?
Yes, I'm there, sir.
All right, all right. So, please could you add to one of the values of extreme programming? Samuel has mentioned simplicity, so maybe you could add like few, three more, two more, as you know it.
Feedback.
I don't get that here, sir.
Feedback.
Okay, feedback.
Okay.
Yeah, If is that you talking?
Yeah.
All right, yeah. Feedback is very core value of action programming. Okay. Please could you explain what you mean by feedback?
Basically, let me use a bank as a case study.
Okay,
Um,
bank. Did you say a bank?
as can I use it as a case study?
Yeah. You could. Sure. Go on.
Uh, um, as a program, when you're doing creating an application, I believe I don't know if I'm on the right track. I believe getting back customers uh, response and all that. Okay, after every transaction you do in your bank, there's
Mm-hmm.
always probably if you're using a mobile
Sorry,
application.
could you increase your
Can you
voice?
hear
We're
me?
not hearing you
Can you
well.
hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear. Yes, we can hear you now. We can hear you now.
I say probably like I'm using bank as a case study in response to admin feedback in terms of extreme programming. You can still correct me if I'm wrong. I'm trying to say that having feedback and creating how I put it now. Getting back customers' response for every transaction in a bank.
Oh. Yeah.
Probably I'm seeing that as a feedback. So it helps basically in updating your performances in every organization. So I don't know if that's
Yeah. Yeah,
a
yeah, yeah. That's actually most profound. Yeah, that's actually very legit. Feedback is very important value, and the way you described it, getting customers' feedback after every release or every deployment of a software project, you know, it's what makes action programming very strong. Right. Matthew, are you here now? Matthew Monday, are you here
Okay.
now?
Hey, thank you.
All right. I think that's all now.
Hey, thank you. It's okay. It's okay.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much
Thank you for having me.
for that. All right. Efe,
yeah, hello.
it
I can
seems you are
hear
not
you.
ready.
I can
It seems
still
you are not
take
ready.
if you want. I'm ready. Should I share my screen? Hello? Hello?
We've not seen your public artifact. We've not seen your public artifact.
That I've not yet
Hello,
done. I said
Efe.
I have not done. But my presentation is ready. Hello, can you hear me?
Has your slide been approved?
Yes, Mr. Badi has approved my topic.
Your slide has not been approved. Eh? You said what?
I say I have sent my topic to Mr. Badi and he has approved it. I also shared some information with him concerning my slide. He also approved it.
So your video is not yet ready. So since it's not yet ready, I don't think you are ready. So thank you everybody for attending today's KD. We'll put the KD to an end today. Thank you everybody.